Today we're driving the 2024 NISMO-Z. Finally getting a chance to get behind the wheel of this, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. We have 420 horsepower and 384 pound-feet of torque from a 3-liter twin-turbo V6. The only available transmission for the NISMO-Z is the 9-speed automatic. It leaves a little bit to be desired. Just going to put that out there for now. We'll talk more about that later on. But there is a whole lot else about the Z that is highly desirable. First of all, just down to how this car looks. It is absolutely stunning. We have 19-inch forged raised wheels, 255/40 R19s in front with Akebono brakes, and 285/35 R19s in the rear. Just a gorgeous wheel and tire setup. Dunlop SP Sport Max tires, very track focused. We did not get a chance to take this out to the racetrack this week. Hopefully we can at a later date. But for now, let's hop inside, we'll start it up, walk you around this briefly, and we'll take it for a drive and show you what it's like on the road. Proper looking sports car interior. These Recaro seats are beautiful. Lots of extra suede accents on the steering wheel, door trim. I mean, this is a $66,000 Nissan Z. So it's got all of the options that you would expect from a sports car in this price. We have adaptive cruise control, Bose sound. It's actually a very nice place to be. Interestingly, the automatic cars have a little bit of a spicier exhaust note than the manual cars, and we see that here in this Nismo. I don't know if there are actually any exhaust differences between the automatic NISMO-Z we have here and the standard automatic Zs. Supposedly the exhaust is a little bit louder because of some drive-by noise regulations. That hasn't been 100% confirmed with Nissan, but that's what it would seem. There is also a Nismo exhaust available for this for around $2,000. Same trunk space that we've seen in the Z for the last couple generations. It's a practical sports car. You can fit a lot of stuff in here as long as it's not super tall. Tons of groceries, longer items. There's even a bit of storage behind the seat backs. I'll show you guys that once we get up front. But as a practical sports car, this is pretty good. One strange thing is that you do have to pop the trunk right here under the Nissan logo and then lift it up. It's kind of a two-step operation. Love these taillights inspired by the 300ZX. This massive fuel filler cap here. And I'm usually not a fan of these red accents on the bottom of cars, like on the FK8 Civic Type R, on the Elantra N. It just didn't quite look right on those vehicles, but this looks proper, especially in this color. Got more NISMO badging up front here. Adaptive cruise control, and those 3 iconic gauge pods on the dashboard. Just a stunning sports car. This thing has gotten a ton of attention this week. Everybody loves the NISMO-Z on the road. This 3-liter twin-turbo V6 is rated for 17 miles to the gallon in the city, 24 on the highway. Not quite to the level of the venerable B58 in the Toyota Supra, but for what you're getting, seems like pretty decent fuel economy. It is an awesome sounding engine, in my opinion. I love this twin-turbo V6. It pulls like crazy. Kind of has some baby GTR vibes here in this Z with the automatic transmission. It's a cold morning, about 55 degrees out. This car is still getting some temperature in it. So we're gonna take it for a drive and show you how this automatic transmission reacts as it warms up. We do have wireless CarPlay. Let's see, let's reconnect to our phone here. There we go. 3 different drive modes: Standard, Sport, and Sport Plus. And all those drive modes do really is just change transmission programming. And they don't really do a whole lot, if I'm being honest. This Z is best enjoyed in manual mode, and you can just quickly change into manual mode by hitting a paddle. Not the nicest feeling paddle shifters in the world, especially considering what the GTR has, but they get the job done. They feel nice in hand. They're pretty large, so you have a good amount of space to hit them if you're a little bit crossed up with your steering on track or something. I wish there were a way to change gears down here instead of just getting the standard corporate Nissan automatic shifter, which is just a bit tedious and weird to use sometimes. We do get a manual handbrake. That's great. A couple blank switches here, which is strange considering this is the top trim. More storage right here. There's that space behind the seat backs. Love that. These Recaro seats are interesting. The adjustments haven't really changed since the 350Z. It's all manually adjustable, even down to the knob for the backrest adjustment. Love that. Haven't had a knob for a backrest adjustment since my old Volvo 850. You can kind of raise the seat bottom here with this one, and this will change the front. So front adjustment, back adjustment of the seat base. I love the anodized red stop-start button and drive mode buttons there. You've got a switch here for gauge cluster brightness. Love to see that. Interior lights. Might want to do an LED upgrade at some point. We've got huge visors that do not slide, but we do have a little piece right here that comes out, and nice big mirrors. There's your reverse camera. Would be nice to get a forward-facing camera on this, but we don't. Same Nissan reverse camera that we've seen for years. Not the best resolution, but it gets the job done. Pretty good visibility out of this, except for that rear 3/4 view. And a good amount of space in this cabin. So much more roomy in here than what we see in the Toyota Supra, for example. I think the interior materials are pretty good. Better than we see in the Mustang Dark Horse, for example. So, some pros, some cons here. Let's go drive. We have stiffer suspension in this NISMO-Z. It is on the firm side for street driving, especially on our rough Michigan roads, but it's not overly punishing. In standard mode, this 9-speed automatic acts like just about any other 9-speed automatic in Nissan's lineup. Maybe it shifts a little bit quicker, maybe it's a bit more responsive, but it really does just like to find the tallest gear possible. And even in Sport Plus mode, it's always upshifting into 7th, 8th gear as quickly as it possibly can. It does seem to hold gears pretty well for a short amount of time, for those little quick bursts of acceleration out of a corner, but then it's upshifting again very quickly. So we're going to let this gearbox get some temperature in it. We see all of our engine oil temperature, transmission oil temperature, water temp, diff oil temps right here on the gauge cluster. Love to see that. More information is always a good thing. Nice blips on downshifts here from this 9-speed. Let's go into sport mode. We get some subtle burbles from the exhaust in sport mode. Nothing happened. That has happened a couple times this week. You got to be pretty early on your upshifts in manual mode. And it is fast, very fast. Cruising on the highway. Suspension is still on the firm side. It doesn't really smooth out the faster you go. It's definitely a more track-oriented chassis setup. And with the upgraded Akebono brakes, the stiffer sway bars, the sticky tires, it all just kind of works really well. It's streetable, it's livable. but this is a car that would be very, very happy on track. We also have upgraded oil coolers here, so this should be a pretty good performer on the racetrack. I would love to get this out on a track at some point. Just didn't make it happen this week. On the highway, road noise is actually not as loud as I thought it might be, especially considering how aggressive these tires are. Granted, this is a pretty new car. It only has 611 miles on it, so they haven't had time to heat cycle out. There's a little bit of noise here, as you would expect with a car like this, but on the highway, it's actually more comfortable than I thought it would be. Still kind of stiff. Exhaust doesn't drone, though. That's nice. All right, let's play with our drive modes here. Let's go into Sport Plus. That is an additional drive mode that you get in the Nismo Z over the standard Z with the automatic. Let's see if it does anything. Initial throttle tip in is a little bit more aggressive, and the gearbox should be downshifting under hard braking and around corners. It does do a little bit of that, but I found it to be really inconsistent this week. Much harsher shifts. Again, not really too many complaints about manual mode. You really just have to kind of slam the paddle shifters for them to register sometimes. Love the blips on downshifts, but let's put this back into drive and see how this gearbox acts in Sport Plus. Shifting for us just a little bit at 6,500 RPM. That could be because gearbox isn't quite up to temp yet. We're still at 176 degrees Fahrenheit. Once it gets above 190, 191, it seems to really wake up a bit more. These Akebono brakes feel fantastic. Tons of initial bite, good pedal feel. I like the weight and feedback from the steering too. It is a fun car to drive. There is a level of excitement and drama here that is really enjoyable. Properly quick. So it seems to me that Sport Plus mode kind of it needs some time to adapt and learn your driving conditions, and then it starts acting like a good transmission. But until it realizes that you're driving on a racetrack or you're driving on a back road, it doesn't really act like it should. Now it's holding gears. Now it's keeping our revs up. So I bet Sport Plus mode on a racetrack is actually pretty decent. It's just that this week on the street, it's been a little bit inconsistent and kind of unpredictable on how it's going to act. So I've resorted to just putting this in manual mode and enjoying this car that way. I will say the more time I've spent with this automatic, the more I've started to kind of appreciate its nuances. It is a transmission that you kind of need to learn how to drive in some respects. Adaptive cruise control in this works well. You can see once we engage cruise control, it's just upshifting to 9th gear. It is kind of nice that you could leave this in Sport Plus mode most of the time, and it would be completely fine upshifting to the tallest gear. Sometimes when you go into the most aggressive drive mode in a car, it'll lock you out of that top gear or those top 2 gears, and you'll always be sitting at slightly higher RPMs. See what this can do around a corner. Hard on the brakes, turning in, bit of rough pavement at first. Letting us utilize that torque. There is virtually no turbo lag here. That's pretty amazing. That sound out of a corner, it just rockets. Tons of grip from these Dunlop tires too. We'll go into sport mode. Turbo behind us. I think it might be. Don't really understand why Nissan didn't give us the option for a manual transmission in this Nismo Z. Given the way the market has gone in the last few years, with the demand for manual transmission sports cars going up, I feel like they kind of dropped the ball on that. Toyota has brought the manual back to the Supra, even though it's not the best manual transmission. It's a little bit too much rev hang. They slightly improved shift feel here and there. But it's the option to have it, and it's a more involving driving experience than that ZF 8-speed automatic. It's not as good of a gearbox, but at least a lot of people can go out there and choose it. Nissan already makes a manual transmission for the Z. I don't really understand why they didn't fit it with it. We may be seeing a few manual swaps with these cars at some point, depending on how easy or difficult that is to do. I do like what Nismo has done here with the Z. I think the suspension is tuned just about right. This is not a light car. It's heavy, and that usually translates to stiffer suspension, and that's what we see here. But I like the steering feel. I like the brakes. Everything seems to kind of come together in this cohesive package. The automatic transmission and its programming is just kind of that one little standout outlier. Sometimes it's really good. Sometimes it just does some weird stuff. I think as you drive this car more and as you get to know it more, you would become accustomed to some of those nuances and kind of learn the car, so to speak. And some of that unpredictability is charming, I guess. It gives it kind of an old school flavor when gearboxes weren't perfect. This car makes a great noise. It puts a smile on your face. It is a lot of fun to drive. right, let's attempt to do a launch control here. It's kind of a tricky procedure. Hard on the brake, foot to the floor, or brake foot to the floor, hold both paddles, and then floor it. See what happens here. Traction off in Sport Plus mode. And we're off. Nice. Alright guys, there you go. That's a drive in the 2024 Nismo Z. Fun car with a few caveats, but overall, a great driving experience. I would love to get one of these out on a racetrack someday. Maybe we'll make it happen. But it's been a pleasure taking you guys out for a drive on this beautiful sunny Sunday morning. Appreciate you guys sticking around for this video. Let's walk you around this one more time, show you guys the exterior, and that'll be a wrap. Here's the key fob. Literally the same key that every Nissan has had forever. Hey, at least it's small in your pocket, doesn't take up a lot of space. You could be driving a Versa or you could be driving a GTR. We don't know. Great looking car though. One of the, I think, few truly beautiful modern sports cars. 240Z in the front, 300ZX in the back. Classic sports car shape from the side. I don't think there's a bad looking angle of this Nismo Z. All right, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you later.